scared all the time with
but it's a
threat levels.
hoax.
Those are the crap.
That's right. They're scaring us. That's right. It's a hoax.
And it's a mission.
It's a paranoia. But you see, think of the schizophrenia we have mentally. 1 minute we're in paranoia, we're afraid of everybody. The next minute we're triumphant, we're the greatest people on earth. That's a schizophrenia. That's what we are. We're schizo as a country and as individuals within as citizens. Here, look at what we're doing with immigration. My God, everybody's all tore up over it. When I was a kid, we had more unemployment than we have now, and immigration was not a problem. Why is it a problem now? Because the leadership has made it a problem. They're talking to each other, it's a problem. All we got are these people coming over, picking lettuce, and taking jobs that need to be taken. And then you got Europe. We're building a fence in Mexico to stop them. And 6 countries in Eastern Europe have lowered all barriers. You can go from Spain to the Baltic and never have to show an identification, and you can get any job anywhere. We're going backwards. The EU is racing ahead of us. China sends twice as many children to be educated in Europe than they send to the United States.
You did say a second ago, like the ABM system, it's useless, it's not going to defend us because the primary threat we have right now is terrorism. One of the main motivators in the last 5-10 years for border security has been the threat and the ease of people who do want to do harm to the U.S. coming through the borders. I realize that the main concern of the American people is not cheap labor coming in. If all of a sudden everyone who worked in the United States was paid at least the minimum wage, we couldn't afford to survive for the next 6 months because the cost of everything would go up astronomically. But for security reason, I'm supporting border security.
What does it do for you?
It regulates the people that are and are not allowed to come into the country, and at least
Well, who shouldn't be allowed to come into the country?
people who want to do harm to the U.S.
Well, who are they? How do you identify them? Truthfully, how do you identify them? I've been in intelligence. I was in the service. The only Democrat running for office that's got any military experience. The only other one is McCain.
Hey, but Mike, if you have a fence,
Wait a second, no, let's finish.
it's on that question.
Okay. How do you identify somebody who wants to harm you coming into the country? How do you do
At
that?
least we have a chance to look at them, though, because when they come in, like...
You don't see them. You don't see them. You don't see them. Hey, if you really got a terrorist who's got half a brain, he'll get into this country. Trust me on that.
True.
Okay? So what's all this bullshit about somebody from Alaska? Okay? Dillingham. Do you know where Dillingham is in Alaska? Well, you know what they got? They got cameras all over Dillingham to spy on the people in Dillingham in case there's a threat in Dillingham. And I'm thinking, who the hell, if there's an Al-Qaeda agent who's dumb enough to go to Dillingham to do any harm, my God, send them. I mean, they'll keep them busy. They'll keep them out of New York and Los Angeles where he could do some harm. I mean, we've become so sick. I notice that I travel around, I get more search and seizure up in Bangor, Maine than I do in Los Angeles. When's the last time you've been into an airport and you go around and you see all these TSA people with their uniforms and they're about it giggling, hitting on each other, and you're waiting in line. People want to commit a crime. They want to kill you. Okay, they got no reason. These people, they're nuts. They're religious fanatics. So it's a criminal activity. How do you deal with that? You deal with that with intelligence, espionage. That's how you deal with it. And then after you find out who they are, you turn around and you have a police force to arrest them. You don't put an army in the field and go destroy a country. Here, if you, this is a joke now. Here, the Taliban and Al-Qaeda is in Iraq. Okay, we all know that. And so, no, is in Afghanistan. We all know that. Let's go kill somebody in Iraq on the other side of the world. And the country goes for that. The Congress goes for that. Hey, what's going on? Are we so ignorant? Are we like a bunch of lemmings and sheep?
This is a question we wanted to ask that I'm kind of afraid to ask. But
Ask it.
the public seem to be like impervious to the thought of a Reichstag event. You know what I'm saying? Back in World War II, and then, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
right?
I sure do,
Okay.
and it's totally possible.
Okay, well,
And a lot of Americans think that's what 9/11
that's
was.
what I'm saying. It's like no one wants to really think about that because it's like too big of a problem to deal with if it is actually brought to the forefront. But I look at things like Bush sitting on his tail for 7 minutes at the
Mister, let me ask a question.
Sure.
Is this still being streamed, U.S. streaming? Okay, well, either you're getting a mouthful. Let me get centered there. Okay.
But there's a lot of things, like the way the 9/11 Commission was done.
Oh.
Bush and Cheney were asked to testify
Together?
in
Oh, well.
public, under oath. They
Let me
wouldn't
give
do it
you
that way.
the answer to that
If there's
question.
nothing to hide, they would be more forthcoming.
There's a lot to hide. 90% of what the government has secret should not be held
You're
secret.
talking right now about a driver's license.
Oh, yeah. Driver's
And
license.
immigration, exactly what you're talking about.
That's right. And they don't want them to have driver's license. They want it to be, oh my. This is scapegoating of the worst kind. This is demagoguery. So Hillary and Obama, they're not going to let these foreigners have driver's license. And they're illegal foreigners, of course. This is ridiculous.
Why don't you give a brief, tell the people here who you are and the history
Look,
behind you?
for those who may not know, I would hope that everybody would know, my name is Mike Gravel. I'm the former senator from Alaska. I'm running for president of the United States. The American corporate control of our society has kept me out of visibility so that you would know what I stand for. And what I stand for is your empowerment. I want you to become empowered so that you can do something about change. I'm just one person. You're the answer. And there is a procedure for you to be empowered to make a change. That's who I am. And so whether it's Hillary or Obama, it's all going to be American imperialism that sustains the military-industrial complex, that is the demise of the world because we're not providing the leadership. Fortunately, we have the European community and China, which seem to be going in the right direction along with Brazil. Will that be enough to save the planet? I don't know. I just truthfully don't know. But I know that our country is going to hell in a handbasket and doesn't have to. We are a great people. We have unusual resources, but right now we're stuck in the doldrums and in fear, and we're stuck in fear and triumphalism. And I don't know how to get out of it. To answer your question, there's only one way, and that is to empower the people, and that's the hard way. When I'm saying we have to get 60 million Americans to go to a website called nationalinitiative.us and register and vote. Now, 60 million that's roughly the number that represents the number of people who voted, the majority who voted in the last presidential election. You begin to see the criteria. The nation, when the Constitution was ratified, it was the convention of 9 states made it the law of those 9 states. What I'm saying is that we obviously don't need to do that. We have the technology to ask all Americans, do you want to be empowered to be a lawmaker? So if you do want to be a lawmaker, then what we really do is ask you, and you respond by going and voting. This is not a petition. This is an actual vote, and when we get 60 million Americans, it will become the law of the land.
How many do you have so far?
Oh, 4,000, maybe 5,000. I haven't checked lately. Because I had to resign from these corporations or nonprofits. I resigned from them because of conflict of interest in running for office. If you knew how undemocratic our electoral process is, you think these other things are ridiculous. One of my supporters in Las Vegas was telling us about how people from California went to Las Vegas to vote in the caucuses.